Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Satisfactory. This is Frogman and we're standing here today in front of what's left of the old Caterium little processing unit. It is currently just kind of sitting here empty and dead because as of, well, last episode we unlocked some more technologies that go with the space elevator, namely oil processing and a massive building called Refineries. Now, Refineries are a big monster and a big thing, and I kind of said right off the bat that the first thing that we were probably going to be doing with the refineries is doing a little bit of a change to this little this little plant, mainly because of the fact that we have unlocked the alternate pure Caterium ingots. And this is a very important kind of thing for us, mainly because, and I kind of want to touch on this right now so that we can go look at this and you get the idea of why we're doing this. This is very important because Caterium, again, is one of those things that is kind of rare, and just to be able to do a little bit of difference between a foundry and a refinery, it's worth burning the power and the water to make the difference here, and I'm going to show you why. So in here, very quickly, we have 24 Caterium ingots, or 24 Caterium ore turns into 12 Caterium ingots. In the smeltery, or the foundry, or whatever this thing is called, it's 45 for 15. This number is terrible. That's just horrible. So we're going to be able to get a considerable amount more Caterium ingots out of what we're doing, and it's the way the system is designed, because if you look at the Quickwire production, it's 12 per 12. 12, 12, 12, 12, so this is the way it should be. So, one of the first things I did when we got the refineries was I went and kind of did that. So, this is the kind of how we're going to work Caterium for a little while. I'm going to not try to do any major prettying to it until we get the next tier of miners, or at least the next tier of belts. Because for right now, what we're going to be doing, or at least at this point, is we're going to be producing just two 270 belts full of Quickwire, and those are currently going over here and being used in the base to do a couple other things. And I'm using a kind of a small balancer system here where we're taking essentially what's coming off of this line over here is a 240 belt on both sides, and then I'm taking the leftovers of what's coming out of that, which is, I think, on this side like 40, something like that, and on this side is 60. We're stripping off 30 of that and sending it into these belts so that they're exactly where they need to be as far as most things go, and then I'm putting the little bit of what is left of the remainder into that awesome sink. Now, as soon as we get the next layer of belts, or next level of belts, this is all just going to be plumbed right straight into the back of that truck station, and we're going to continue to haul it over there. But we're going to kind of take a look at this really quickly. There's another one of these we got set up, and then we're going to do oil today, or at least we're going to try to get as much oil as possible. So I went ahead and built this over here kind of by the steel plant area, and yeah, you might notice some changes, mainly because there's this nice big lake right here, and we need water to do the processing. So basically what we're doing is we're pulling a little bit of water out of this lake, plumbing it into these refiners, and we're getting a whole lot more Caterium to play with. So that is handy because Caterium is going to be something we're going to start needing to produce a lot of pretty soon. Caterium is going to be part of our electronics things, and, well, a lot of the other things that we're going to need. Actually, one of the first things I want to do to unlock today in the MAM is the next portion of some electronics that we have yet to touch. So let's talk about Caterium a little bit more here very quickly. Actually, it's not Caterium, it is quartz. Crystal oscillators. Crystal oscillators are going to be a little bit of fun, and there's something we need to do. So I went ahead and got a whole bunch of processed crystal, so let's go ahead and unlock that. I don't think we're going to get anything out of that as far as that goes, but we're going to go ahead and look at the next thing. Now, it wants me to create a couple of crystal oscillators. I forget, we need to get out of the way of the truck dinghy. Before we head back to the base, can we get any more of that crafted? How much is a crystal oscillator? I do forget at this point, because the next major big factory I want to start working on is crystal oscillators. We're going to need a lot of them to be able to do a few things. So, oscillator, crystal oscillator. How many did it want? I'm going to make a few. Actually, I think it only needed like 5. So give us a second here, and we're going to go on. So crystal oscillators is something that I'm going to start working towards, because they're going to be a big part of some of the future recipes that we're going to be making. And those recipes are going to be for computers and for other things that we're going to need. So let's go ahead and knock this out real quick. Hello, ma'am. And quartz, go. Start research. Thank you. Ah, this is why I want Crystal Oscillator. Crystal Oscillator is going to give us a considerably bit better form of transportation. So I need to make what? How many of those? 10. Give me a second. Okay, actually no, we're gonna do 20 of those, but that's perfectly fine. The first one I want to do is I want to unlock the Explorer, and we're gonna have to go do that. So can I do this while we're waiting? That's gonna take 5 minutes. Yes, we'll do frequency mapping. That will allow us to start unlocking the maps, and then we'll unlock the Explorer. I'm gonna run over to the base, and we're gonna go look at the other one of these that we've already got set up so we can kind of do a few things. There she is off in the distance, our new pure copper facility thingy that I am currently using to make a whole bunch of copper sheets. So we had to kind of be careful a little bit here so we can come on over and take a look. But once again, we're using a kind of a similar system. Come here, you, up. So I'm actually getting a little bit of use of the jump pads because they actually work to get up on top of some of these platforms very nice. And I built this for a height mainly so that you could kind of see it from over there. But again, I'm kind of starting to move a few things out of the base. So what I did is, because this one copper node is all back here by itself, I went ahead and plugged it into something kind of very simple. That one copper node, I believe, can run 18 or can stand 18 of these refineries. So it's a kind of a fairly simple thing. You just plug the refineries down, you feed in an ore and some water, and they give you a considerable amount more material back. And we were having an issue again. It's because we only have 3 copper nodes over here. Copper is going to be something that I'm going to spend a lot of time playing with. So as in here, we're actually doubling it with a little bit more. So we're I forget, it's like 2.5 times. Not quite ore doubling, we're 2.5ing times thingies versus the smelter, I believe, which is a 1-to-1. So if we look at a smelter, it's a 1-to-1, which again, when you're kind of short on copper, considering the amount of iron that we've got over here, and when copper, especially later on, is going to become a very big deal for us, we're going to need a lot of it. And even so much right now, all of this copper, all of the copper that we're making right now, right here, is going into copper sheets. Every single bit of this copper is going into copper sheets. I believe only one of our current copper mines is being used to do any kind of operation, because in between episodes and last episode, I do believe, we got several new recipes. And I'm kind of starting to work on the outside designs here. We're going to have to kind of come up with how we want to do this, but it's going to be a fun thing. We managed to move a few things over from one thing to another, meaning we moved some of the recipes that we were using a lot of copper for into a production where we're using iron. And yeah, it's my kind of little back corner production area. So on the corners over on this side here, if I ran all the way around backwards, but whatever. On this side over here, where we had all of the cable makers, I have since rebuilt this, and we're going to touch on this because I kind of came up with a cool way of lining out assemblers in this little small space so they actually still look good and are reasonably decent. But all of our copper now, all of the copper cables that are coming out of this section that we were feeding into those automated wire units are now being specifically made out of iron. So that is all the iron recipe, and I actually believe because of that we're making more than we were, which is pretty cool. I have not touched the 2 copper sections over here yet because they're still being used mainly for the reinforced iron plates, which we don't have to necessarily worry about right now. But there has been a kind of a big change once again to the base because of special recipes, and I am one of those kinds of fools. When I get a special recipe, I immediately rebuild the factory to take use of that special recipe, and that special recipe has been quite a bit of using other things. So using the iron wire recipe basically to make the things that we need to make out of iron wire. So you can kind of see what's going on right here with the idea that I came up with, at least at this point. I believe there's 22 or 24, whatever it is, constructors all laid out in a row right there. And because of the new additions that were given to us in, well, update 5, clipping is not so much of a problem anymore. You used to not be able to clip belts very close to machines. This is still very logical. There's an actual belt space in between these machines, but before you kind of weren't able to do things like this. So that allows me to squish things rather tightly, but still keep them all pointed the same direction that I want to keep them pointing. Hello, ma'am. Let's do this real quick before I lose track of what we were doing. Frequency mapping is enabled. We can now choose a free node. Let's go back to quartz.
The map has been unlocked.
Yes. Awesome. Beautiful. We'll work on these later. I want this thing. Oh, yeah. We need to go do that. We'll do that before we leave. Remind me, we'll do that before we leave. We need some more modular frames. So what we're eventually going to do with all of the copper in this base is going to be turning it into copper sheets. And the reason why we're going to be turning it into copper sheets is because well, for one, we need to be able to use copper sheets to make AI limiters, which are currently being fed into an awesome sink back there, as well as all the piping and things that we need. And I have now converted over to a different engine motor kind of recipe. We did a whole lot of work back there making a whole lot of stators, and again, this is kind of the same thing here. There's 40 some odd constructors right here, and it looks good, but the problem is the input is going, or the output I should say is going down the middle when I wanted the output to go over here. So we kind of did this a little bit differently. I don't know, I'm not able to get as many in the same area as I did in here, but again, there's 22 constructors right here making screws, and 22 constructors over there making screws, and now 8 of those assemblers over there making the modular frames because I converted over to another special recipe. And in here the exact same thing is going on. Because we have the ability to make lots and lots and lots and lots of copper sheets, I converted over to the assembler recipe that allows us to use copper sheets for stators, and that assembler recipe is fantastic. So not stators, rotors, those right there. That assembler recipe is fantastic. Yes, it gets you 11.25 per minute. What's really cool about that, we're making about 30 motors per minute, whereas before we were making about 12. So it definitely upgrades your factory to kind of look at some of those recipes and implementing them. This was another one of those nightmare things because of, I should say, complete nightmare thing because of the cast screws recipe we're using to do this. It's 50 per minute here, which is simple, easy considering how things work, but once you have walkways full, you put in walkways. You built it so you can walk up and down again. It's 50 per minute down here, but this is 195. So I'm taking the excess off of those splitters up here, or basically taking the excess off of these, and then sending it down to the last one over there. Technically, this whole system right here, these two screw makers plus the assemblers that are here are all connected together in a format that allows me to kind of share the screws between the two of them. But it's making lots and lots of parts, and those parts are being fed into our awesome sink, and that awesome sink is, like I said, eating a considerable amount of stuff right now. We're not doing too bad. I would like to be making a few more right now, but we're not doing too bad. Once we get the the crystal oscillator factory up and running that I want to work on, we're going to be turning that on, and that's going to be making a decent amount of points. And in order to do the crystal oscillator factory, we need to kind of do a few more things. So before we leave, let's go have the ma'am do a little bit of research on something else, and I don't know why. Oh yeah, I was looking at that for something else. Let's go empty our inventory. We're gonna go build a couple of cool things, and I'm gonna be right back with you guys once we're ready to go. So I needed some of those. Alright, got the dingy ding. Analysis of the Explorer is complete. That's awesome. Is there anything else we can finish on this right now? No, we need to make a few more things. Radio signal scanning is something that's very handy, and there's a lot of other things that we can do. It kind of helps you find things and stuff for everything else. So let's go ahead, close that out, get it out of our way. We're standing up here real quick because I want to touch on one more thing about special little recipes that are kind of interesting. Once you get a certain recipe, specifically that, well, certain pairing of recipes, like the pairing of recipes that are up here right now, there's a reason I kind of went with everything right now, mainly because, again, we're very iron rich locally. We've got lots of iron, so there's no reason to involve anything other than, you know, what you can make with iron. But there's also reasons to cut out certain items. There's an interesting thing once you get a certain set of recipes, namely the ones that just don't require rods once you remove rods from the occasion, you don't even need to make them anymore. So this factory, there's no more rods being produced in it at all, to the point that I'm actually going to have to set up a small little offshoot of something just to keep our little container in there full, because we do need rods to build things, but we're not using them in the factory anymore because of the fact that this recipe that we're using for the reinforced plates is the bolted plate recipe that doesn't need rods. And the rotors over there uses copper and screws. That doesn't need rods. There's nothing left in this base that needs rods anymore. So it's kind of one of those things. I'm really a big fan about like moving things from one point to another and getting rid of extra steps, and that's why I love that cast screwed recipe. And the steel screws are awesome too, is because they're super good at making screws. Screws are something you need a lot of as you play along in the game, so it is kind of the way it works. But yeah, just being able to remove the production line for one thing and replace it with something else means that you don't have to worry about producing one thing anymore. So that's pretty cool. The Explorer, can we craft one, or do I have to make something fancy to get this to work? I need 5 more of those things and 5 of those. I actually think we have 5 of those hiding out in a box right here. I do. All right, I'm gonna go craft a couple of more of these, and then we can go try out the Explorer when we go look for oil. I know where we're going. This one. Let's see. I don't need you. You can go up there. All right, let's go play with this toy. This thing is fantastic. Once you learn how to drive it, once you learn how to make it work, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite vehicles in the game. For one, it actually is a better logistical machine for moving short distance material, so it's really good. But let's go pop this dude down, the Explorer, wonderful thing. We'll give him a little bit of fuel. I know a lot of people probably don't like this thing because it is a kind of a royal pain in the butt to drive, but it's a lot faster than the tractors, and it holds almost the same amount as the tractors do. So we're gonna go find some oil, and the easiest place to go find some oil at this point is gonna be towards our south, which is this direction. Why is my lights acting funny? You can shut those off. Fine. Great. Wonderful. Hello, sir. Don't need to worry about you. What I love about the Explorer is it maintains a reasonable amount of speed over really rough terrain versus the tractor or the truck, for that matter. It can be a little wonky to learn how to drive it, but we maintain well over what the tractor and truck would have gotten through that area. So the nearest oil for us, I'm not even going to go ding it for you guys. The nearest oil, if you do not know, is right here by us. It's right over in this little biome right next to us. I have already kind of raided this area and gotten the, well, I've gotten the couple of hard drives that are right here. Look out, bird! Oh, sorry. He'll be all right. Trust me, he'll stand back up. But we need to go over into this area and start building some of the fun stuff that we need to do. And the water is actually low enough right here. You can drive across to this first island. Oh, I love this thing so much. I've missed it. I've been driving that silly tractor all over the place trying to get a few things done. So let's see. Hey, I don't want to pop you guys just yet. No. Stop. Okay, come here. You come with me real quick. We got to do a little bit of fighting. So what we need to do is we need to get up some oil processing. We need to build some stuff. And this is what an oil patch looks like. And if you go ahead and scan it for the oil patch, it's going to go ding. And that's what they kind of tend to look like, just a kind of a little muddy pile in the area. This is one of the richest areas for oil in a very small area on the map. There are, I forget what, speaking of, 1, 2, 3, I think there's 3 or 4 of them right here. I think there's another one over there. But anyhow, there's a lot of local oil here that is amazing. And it's one of the places a lot of people tend to come as far as making oil producing platforms. So there's another one right there. There's another one over there. And you can just see the concrete pad where I laid down some stuff. Again, I came through here because this is a pretty quick, easy place to come get some stuff. I think there's another one right there. Uh-oh, he saw me. Shoot. Hang on. We got to go deal with our friend. Load that up. And let's go have some fun. Where are you? Where did you go? Autosave. No. Death by autosave. Hey. Have one. Goodbye. Cool. All right, nice. So what we need to do is we need to kind of figure out how we're going to build this. So this should be a normal. What do I get for a normal? So in order to extract oil, we need an oil extractor. What do I get for a normal? Is it 120? 120. Can I think there's a pure one here. I know there's a pure one. I'm pretty sure that one is a pure one of these. I want to make at least enough to run 8 of each so we can get both of the plastic and the rubber up and running. So I can't remember exactly what's here. You're normal as well. Can we get pure levels out of you? Or 300? We can. Okay, cool. That's all I was concerning myself about. So let me clear out some bees. I'm going to lay out some platforms, and we're going to start popping down some refineries. Alrighty, so what we're going to do for right now, I think, is I had this thought in my head that I was going to do something a little bit differently, but we're not going to do it that way. So what I want to do for right now is I only want to produce 240 out of these because I only brought enough refineries to do 240 oil. So we're going to do we need to get it running so we can get it up and getting our other materials that we need working first kind of build. So again, not really concerned about what it looks like, not really concerned about where we're doing it. All I want to do is drop down some refineries and just make parts. So we need to be able to just make parts but also not have the system back up. Now I'm gonna have a problem, I'm pretty stinking sure, because of the fact that we don't have, I think, enough power to run what I want to run right now. But what I'm gonna do first off is we're going to talk about oil really quickly. First thing I want to do for sure is I'm going to smack 8 of these down this direction and 8 of these down the other direction. Let me see, make sure that the output is kind of facing the middle so that I can see what I was doing. Where are you? Why are you no snap? Why you no snap? There's the line I wanted. Give us a little bit of room, and again, 8 of these. So what we're going to be looking at is we need to be able to make plastic, which is not that recipe. We need to pick the right one. We need to pick that recipe because I don't think we can actually make the other one. This one is going to require polymer resin, which we don't currently have. So we're going to use this recipe for this, and we need to be able to make some rubber. And the rubber is going to be with the residual or heavy oil residue. Heavy oil residue is going to cause us a problem, which is going to be backing up and not making things work correctly. What we're going to do to get around that problem, and I think the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to, let me see, I think we actually want to merge them the other direction. And I'm not going to merge them that way just yet. We're going to need to kind of pay attention to how this is going to work. So I don't want you to connect, and that's going to be the first thing that you're going to do, and that's going to be really annoying. Thank you, game, for doing this, or at least I should say the mod to do the thing. So let's do the plastic first because I think the plastic is the one we need the most of right now. Give me a bunch of these. No, mergers, thank you. And I want to back it a decent amount away so that the oil has plenty of room to come through. These things are a pain because you have to plumb them, well, at least just because of how you have to plumb them. Let me just put it like that. They can get very much to be a pain, and again, we're not trying to make this build very pretty. I want this build to be functional because this is going to get torn down, I mean, almost immediately. As soon as I get some more technology, we're going to be tearing this down because we're going to be getting some more stuff. This is also going to segue into us going into probably the pink forest up on top and some more of this side over here. We're going to do at least an episode or two of slug hunting and well, other things to do things so that we can get some more of the hard drives, because the hard drives are going to be very important for oil. Very, 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 very important for oil. So we need to be able to bring in some oil. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say you're probably going to come into here. What I'll tend to do with oil, or at least when I have to do these things, there's many different ways you can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The easiest thing to do is to put a pipe down first. Just pick a line, put a pipe down first, then just keep going to the end of the road or wherever you plan on going. I don't care that it runs past because the oil is a container. Pipes are containers. Pipes are a royal pain in the tail. For this, we're going to stay relatively level so that we won't need any pumps to do anything. Actually, this whole setup, we shouldn't need to do anything. But if you just go ahead and throw a pipe down, jump up on top of the pipe, or stand behind it, you can find a light, or the line, or the liner, the clicky thingies, this kind of a deal. With pipes, it is a heck of a lot easier to put things together above them than it is behind them, because I can't see the snap line. All I can see is the little bitty teeny tiny arrows, whereas up here you can see the arrows and the snap line. So it's a little, once we get to the point, I think one thing that anybody's playing this game has played this game for a while has learned, is that it's a heck of a lot easier to build things from above or below than it is straight behind things. So we can dump a bunch of these down, and then all you got to do is kind of come back and just go blink, boink, 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 and boink. Again, we have to do all that the hard way because the fancy mod that I have won't do any of the pipes, but at least the mod should have, and it didn't. Lovely, because I didn't copy it the right direction. Well, it doesn't really matter. We can just do this anyway. Anyhow, we're going to be doing the plastic recipe. I forgot to copy it the right direction. All of these need to be set to plastic. Not that plastic, this plastic. Let me do this real fast. Okay, cool. So we got everybody to plastic, so we're going to be plastic with the heavy oil residue left over. So now we have to build a heavy oil residue line. Heavy oil residue for everything that we're going to be here. We're going to get 80 heavy oil residue from this side, and I believe it's going to be something similar on the other side. So actually, no, it's more than that. We'll have 160 oil residue per minute. So we should be able to actually pump all of our heavy oil residue back into a single pipe. So let's go ahead and make enough room so I can run another set of splitters or mergers behind us. So I think we'll do that. Again, put all of those down, all 8 of them. Can I merge it this time and not have a problem? Are you going to be okay if I do this now that everything is kind of spread out? Now it's acting funky. Quit. No. There's the line I want. I think you're gonna act funky, aren't you? No? Are you gonna do it? 7, 8, please. Sweet. And I had it in here, it took it out. I love it. It's okay. We can do all this work too. Okay. There. Everybody should be set. Everybody should be good to go. We just got to put the oil into the back of that. Now, the reason why I'm kind of doing it this way is because what I want to do is I want to plumb the output line for that heavy oil residue into a space where it's not going to get in the way. And I think we'll probably just use these and go as high as those pipeline supports will let us go. So here, once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just easy to do it to the middle, especially when you're using the lines like we are on the floor. And we'll just do to there, all the way up. Cool. Once again, put in all of the junctions. So actually what we can do here, because they're kind of somewhat interestingly like this, is we can kind of use this center snap line and then do this. Again, this one's going to make enough rubber and plastic for us to be able to unlock a bunch of technologies. So I'm going to build this and let it run for a little while and then likely tear it all down and get a bunch of stuff. So let's go do this. Okay, so I got everything plumbed up for the moment. Those oil extractors are all hooked up, got the pipes running around the back, and we've got everything kind of set up this direction. Now, I want to kind of make a mention of this before we go any further, before we do anything else, because some people might get confused with how fluids work in the game. By default, and for those of you that don't know, by default, refineries, oil extractors, water pumps, what are we with production thingies, these water extractors, anything that fools with fluids, anything that outputs fluids. So we're going to have several more things that are going to eventually start coming up anyway. I think there's 2 or 3 more things anyway. Automatically will be able to output, let me get it right there, will be able to push its fluids up to 10 meters. 10 meters high from the center of the output right here. So what that means is if I can get the... Where's my short walls? Hang on a second. So if we do this, and can you go on top of that? Let's just say that the top of that line right there, that's center. It's not quite right. I mean, you can kind of see the difference, but it's kind of right there. So if I then go from there and I take this plus 2 more of those, generally that means that this will be able to output to the top of that line right there, or about right there. So this thing could theoretically pump that fluid up that height and be okay. Now, it doesn't always necessarily work that well. So what I tend to try to do, at least playing with fluids when you're messing around with machines like refineries, especially refineries that are going to spend a lot of time, or fluids that are going to spend a lot of time running in a long direction, one direction, but you have to kind of pump it up to the area, is to not try to go higher than, say, about right there. Like right where that little line is right there. I mean, I know it doesn't really matter. I try to stay under that fix-it label about right there, just because the fluids are like the only thing in the game that really aggravate me all the time when I have to play with them. I mean, and every single time I have to fool with them, they don't necessarily work correctly every single time. So just so you're aware of that, we'll play with more of that as we go, because this is going to get a lot crazier. When we get to some of the further on down refining processes, I actually stack, when I do aluminum, I stack these on top of each other so that it's easier to work with the water. Anyhow, we need to do one more product work, and that product is we need to convert the heavy oil residue into something that we can get rid of for now. Later on, heavy oil residue is something we're going to use to make a lot of fuel, but for right now what we're going to do is we're going to make petroleum coke out of it. So what we're going to need to do now is figure out exactly how much heavy oil residue we have, and then we're going to basically feed it into these things, and then decide whether or not we're going to build a coal power plant out here to run off of it, or we're just gonna put it into an awesome sink. So again, these over here on this side, they're going to be making 10 per minute. That's 80 heavy oil residue per minute. On this side, they're going to be making 20. So 20 times 8 is 160. So we do these very simple math, which was actually, we need the other math here very quickly. This is 40. So where's my button? 160 plus 80 divided by 40. That doesn't work. So 240 divided by 40. 6 of these things. So that means we can do a kind of a 3x3 thingy here, which will make it nice. The issue is that's going to be an awful lot of coal coke, or whatever this petroleum coke stuff is called. We might just go ahead and run another power plant out here off of it for just a little while. Where are you? You're right. There. 1. Hold control. There you go. Snap it again. No. Click. And I am out. I was wondering whether we were going to have enough. I didn't bring enough, and that's fine. So we'll just have to come back. I'm going to go run all the way to the other way, run back over to the base anyway, and go get a bunch of stuff for the electrical stuff that we completely forgot to bring. Anyhow, we're going to put this again kind of center like that. Is that centered between the two? Yes, excellent. Again, I'm not really caring about what this looks like. It's going to get torn down just as soon as we have enough of the process, enough of the things for us to be able to move forward with the current things that we need to move forward with, which is going to be plastic and rubber, because I need both right now to be able to unlock any more stuff in the hub, and to reliably build some more parts, we need to do a few more things. So these guys are going to all make coal coke, petroleum coke. This is not Minecraft full. Petroleum coke. Petroleum coke. This is going to be a lot of petroleum coke, actually, if you look at it. Petroleum coke, petroleum coke, petroleum coke. So that's 6 times 120. to hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I forget. Where are they? I don't think I can tell. I might be able to almost run this whole thing off of that. Give me a second. Where's my wiki? Ooh. So looking at those numbers, it might be worth my time to actually do that. This might be actually a net positive, even though it sounds a little odd. Petroleum coke is not nearly as good as running regular coal through these coal generators. It burns considerably faster, basically. Burn time is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, 2.4 seconds versus the normal coal time of 4 seconds. So it's 25 items per minute. 25 items per minute. We're making 720. Come here. Where's my mouse? Give me back control. 720 divided by 25 is going to be 28.8 coal refineries. 28.8 times 75 is 2160 megawatts per minute. That might accidentally power all of this. And then some. So, all right, I need to run back to base. I'm going to go run back to base. We're going to go run our power lines from here over to base, and then I'm going to bring all the parts back that we need to be able to do that. 28 is going to take an awful lot of water, but we have lots of water, and that may be something I may be building off channel, but I'll be right back. Okay, so we got that last refiner built. I've got stuff belted in, and we're going to run the petroleum coke into 3 awesome sinks for right now, just so that we can kind of get moving forward with this. It is a very tempting thing to do, is to use the petroleum coke that you're going to get off the back of these to run the coal generators, because of the fact that they'll make a decent amount of power. Thing is, it's a kind of a temporary solution, so sometimes it's just easier to brute force it and just get rid of the stuff. In between episodes, I will go hook up at least enough so that we recoup the total amount of power that this is going to use, and maybe a little bit more. Just we're going to go ahead and hook it up and use it, just because it is something that is available, and I'm kind of getting a little short on coal. Very, very, very soon we will be converting that petroleum coke into a different recipe, which is going to be either residual fuel or the alternate diluted package fuel, because we already got that. That was one of the luckiest things I can ever see getting, so cool. Everything else should be ready to go. We're ready to do a few things. I'm just a little concerned that I might pop a circuit breaker here. I don't think we will, but we're pretty close on the edge of the line here. I mean, we're not terrible, but we're already using over what we should as it is, and we're, you know, it's not terrible. So go to work, my friends. Oil's moving. Oil's moving. This should start turning on shortly. There we go. Sweet. Alrighty. There comes our first rubber. I love it when it just doesn't want to work. Go that way. We'll hook these up later. Are you going that direction? No. There's our first plastic. What are you doing? You should be left, right. Okay, it's going. Good. So all of that should be flowing down. Now we've got a pipe that is filling up with this wonderful purple heavy oil residue. Let's run all the way down here to the end. And once this pipe once it pumps it up to this level, it will fall back down and go into this. And these will start up and go to work, and we'll start getting rid of plastic and, well, the plastic and the rubber. The heavy oil residue that will be turning into the coal coke. So let's just kind of let it run a little bit. Kind of keep an eye on things. It's going to take it a little bit to get all the way down here, because it has to fill up every buffer. Very cool. Good. How much did that cost us? This is why I think we're going to turn it on and recoup it, because it's like 600 megawatts. Actually, more than that. I don't know. What did those extractors use? We're doing... yeah, so that's almost 1,000. maybe what I need to do is go hook up some of these other oil reservoir thingies a little bit. Maybe we do a little bit better than that, but we'll see. Are we making plastic? Yes, we're making plastic. Are we making rubber? Beautiful, awesome. Are we making petroleum coke yet? We should be. It's not acting like it. There it comes. And bang, there goes one. All right. You're making. And I should see somewhere some stuff head out. There we go. Okay, cool. So we should be good to let this run for a while. So in between episodes, I'm going to let this run. I'm going to build some more generators just so that we have some extra power to recoup this. And then I will see you guys with a bunch of plastic and a bunch of rubber so we can kind of start messing around once again in the hub, turning in things, because there's some things in the hub I want to turn in next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.